to one of our kerfuffle interviews, our deep dive reviews for some of our partners. And today I am delighted to have David Votta on from Votta Sales Lettings. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, Simon. Thank you for having me.
Always love you on. You're a regular. This is it. Yeah. You're like the norm out of Cheers on our kerfuffle shows now. So we're really pleased to have you on. Obviously, in fact, I think we had you on one of the panel shows before, and that's why I was really keen to talk to you again, because the way you were talking about PayProp, who we're looking at today, was really it was really passionate in terms of what you've done. And I've always made a big point. We were talking off camera, weren't we, about how, it's just been award season, conference season, and everything else. And I always went out my way when I was in my previous existence to say, I almost had to shoot down the Supplier of the Year award because I hated it. You don't want to be as a supplier to a business. You want to be a partner with. And it strikes me that very much feels that that's the relationship you've got with PayProp. Would it be fair just to say that from the outset?
Well, yeah, I'd say so. I mean, there's no formal agreement. There's no remuneration for me as such. It's a case of, I'm one of these people, with my position at Property Mart, I want other agents to benefit from what I have as well. So for me, it's a case of I use certain products. And if someone says to me, what do you recommend? Well, what I use works really well for me. And PayProp has revolutionized my business as such. So that's kind of where the angle that I come from. There's no hidden agenda. I'm not trying to, influence anyone. All I can say is my own experience, and that's that's how I live my life.
So I saw a load of Christmas presents just to date this as well, going past. That wasn't definitely delivered by PayProp. So
definitely not. The bottle of champagne, on the other hand.
Well, we have to do all of those bribery acts and everything else there. So I think that's really, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I do like about that, of course, and it is really important just to plug ourselves, is if you don't share that information, more and more of your peers in the industry are going to continue making bad mistakes going for the products, as we know, that, are too shiny and don't deliver. And the one thing that I do think you can say, without a hint of doubt about PayProp is it's one of those core products that solves a very real issue, doesn't it, for many lettings agents? And that's what's absolutely key about it. Before we kick off into that, though, if it's all right, David, would you mind just describing your own business as just in terms of, so people understand the sort of where you sit in the marketplace, how many properties you look after and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, we're a small enterprise as such. I mean, I set the company up in October 2018, so we're only 3 years old, Simon. And we manage about 150 properties, so we've grown the portfolio quite quickly, but we've got a process in place where it's not like a lot of bigger companies where it's a leaky bucket. We don't lose landlords. The only reason why we lose a landlord is if they want to sell. And unfortunately, due to various bits and pieces, a lot of them are selling up. So that's kind of us. We're sales, we're lettings. We're going to dip into commercial. We might do a bit of holiday lets, but I'm trying to avoid that because there's not enough housing stock out there available on the lettings front. I mean, if we look at viewings at the moment, you've got 20 or 30 applicants per property. And that's qualified. That's before the inquiries. I mean, if you look at how many inquiries you get through, it's insane. So that's kind of where we are in the marketplace. We're not what we call a huge contender. We're a little independent agent. We've got probably the highest rated 5-star Google reviews within a 3-year period, and we just get comprehensive reviews. We get people that love the service. And what I wanted to create with my business, Simon, was, estate agents and letting agents are about fourth from bottom on the veracity index of most disliked professions out there.
But you are just ahead of PropTech, to be fair.
We are, we are. And journalists, thank God. Yeah. So I want us to be up there a bit more, because you think of the work that goes in. There's so many agents that come across in the wrong way. Their perception's wrong. They don't look at notes. Their feedback's terrible. And whenever I'm out and about, I always hear people talking about property, my agent this, or this is what happened when I sold or let my house. And it's kind of like, it's a big topic. A lot of people talk about property. So what I want to do is get to a level where agents behave in a certain way and they can deliver a certain service, because the work they do is really robust. And I look at our audit logs. Each property we list in lettings, I look at the audit log from our software and I think, crikey, there's like 20 or 30 pages of entries and activity. And I think we're not giving that value back to the client. So that's kind of where I'm at. I want to create a level playing field as such. You know, we won't talk about roadblock because that's been kicked down the road a little bit, but if we get a level playing field, expert agents that do the job properly, there's enough business out there for everyone. But what I really want to do, what my main goal at the moment is to try and encourage more landlords back to the sector, because we're seeing 5.5% returns on their money in property.
And David, what part of the world you in?
Oh, I'm in southeast, so I'm in Kent, right in the southeast tip. We cover that whole kind of region, and people that don't know the area, I just say, well, Belgium. You know where Belgium is? We're across the second Belgium.
I certainly know the chocolates. Well, it's just you're talking to a chippy northerner here, so we tend to treat all of you as those southerners, don't we? So
look, don't even go there. Anyone north of Watford is a northerner to me, Simon. I'm terrible.
Okay, well, that's useful context. I think there's some things there that really resonate. I mean, first of all, how crazy the marketplace. You know, I was on with Lucy Morton, obviously, famously of Arla fame previously, and she was talking about, you know, that state in the marketplace at the moment, having to pull properties off after 24 hours simply because of the amount of inquiries.
Yeah, it's unbearable.
So it's, you know, there's that element, and I love what you're trying to do in terms of course, raising standards and really just making. Yes, of course, people get tarnished by the bad boys, has always been the case, but I'm making a point in another area just around the whole charity angle, actually, that, you know, the amount of work that agents do in communities day in, day out, all around the country, I haven't seen another industry that does as much in that respect, and it needs to be recognised, and hopefully
it does. It does. You look at the Negotiator Award, Simon, for example. I mean, I was one of the judges, and I judged a couple of categories, and one of those was the charity work that agents do, and I'm not joking to you. I brought a tear to my eye. I'm looking through all these people thinking, right, because I want to give it my time and judge people on the merit and everything they've done and the work that's gone in and what that's meant to the community and the people they've helped. And I just thought, because we want to do a bit more as a company, more charity work, but my God, it's incredible that the time they give up, the percentage of commissions that they give to charities, they don't have to do any of that. And it's not about promoting their own agenda as, oh, we're a charitable company. It's about giving back, and it is quite selfish in a way that it's a nice feeling, but it's also not about that. It's just about doing.
David, you can talk the talk, can't you? Ultimately, those people that actually get out there and do this stuff, you don't have to do that. You could just say you've donated, which is what a large number of the kind of faceless corporates do, isn't it? Agents, they're the ones that are out sleeping cold in the street. They're out picking up the rubbish. These are the ones that are actually doing, you know, using that most valuable of resources, their own time, and that's when it really matters. But anyway, we could talk about that part of it for ages. But going back to what you said there as well, though, you're talking about, obviously, yes, you're a relatively new business, and actually I think that's one of the first things we need to dispel then in terms of the urban myths around PayProp, because there is this perception that they're really, really good for just the larger agents, and what you're saying is actually that's not the case. They've been really supportive of you as you've managed to grow your business from day dot.
Yeah, I opened my PayProp account with one property, Simon. That was it. And then it just grew from there. And the thing is, it worked. It worked really well. And as I grew, PayProp grew with me. The support team are always there. And it's probably my favourite supplier bit of software that I've used, you know. I love it.
Well, that's really good to hear. So one thing you would say I could take from that straight away is actually, if you're thinking about delaying the decision there, get it in earlier so you can get the processes and systems right, and then it will just scale effectively as you go anyway.
I mean, even if you don't, I mean, we were speaking with Sophie Lang. She's one of our regional executives for the Southwest. She's got a portfolio of about 400, I think, something like that. But they handled that transition really well. I mean, 400 properties is a lot to port across from one area to another. But they did it. They supported them. They were there. And it doesn't matter. Like you said, doesn't matter whether you're a little independent or you're a huge corporate. Now, what I found when I introduced this to larger firms that I worked for back in the day were they thought it was expensive. They couldn't see the value. They didn't want to lose the accounts team staff, but you're not. So what we discussed yesterday on a call was you're taking those people from that account section, the laborious reconciling payments, doing statements, all this kind of stuff. You're pulling them away from the mundane part of the job, and you're going to put them in an area which is fun, which is generating new business, meeting new clients. And that's, for me, that's a no-brainer, Simon. You know,
I'm meant to be the independent auditor on this bit, but I think they probably should have had Chris Watkins. But I'm going to do the old testify thing here now, because I couldn't agree with you more. That, you know, we used to have it in my previous existence as well, and people say, "Oh God, you know, we're going to lose that member of staff." It doesn't make sense to have people doing jobs that technology and you know, systems can do better, and turn them to more productive, you know, dollar productive activities, isn't it? That's got to be the way forwards. You're
paying the wages anyway, Simon, so you may as well make use of it. And, you know, last week at the Negotiator Expo, there was a talk on one of the panels about, will prop tech replace humans? And I said, absolutely not. Because you've got to imagine that human interaction is exactly what we need. All the prop tech stuff, that will handle all the transactional stuff, all the day-to-day bits and pieces. Whereas you can't ever lose that human element of what we as estate and letting agents do. You know, we should have qualifications for all sorts. You know, we have to be a therapist, we have to be a punch bag, we have to be all sorts, like in a lot of jobs, I guess. But, you know, if you can use the prop tech to work in your favour, then you can focus on what you do good, which is people person. We're a people industry. Let's go and build relationships, and we'll let the technology do the work for us. We'll input the data and work with it. That's the way I look at it.
Perfect. Well, I'm not disagreeing with you at all there. Do you remember what attracted you to them in the first place?
Yeah, I was a regional executive for Isle of Property Mark back in 2016, and I had Martin and one of the other guys, I think it was Jason or someone, presented it at one of the regional meetings as a supplier. So they come along and they did their presentation, they got it all up on the screen, said, this is what we do. And I was looking at it, and I was obviously running the meeting, and I went over time because I was so in awe of that product. I was looking at the screen, they're like, David, next speaker. I was like, oh, crikey, yeah, we've next speaker, sorry guys. But it got me then. And I thought, we need this. And I presented it to former employers. They didn't want to know because, oh, this is the way we've always done it, so we're going to continue that way. So they didn't talk like that. I don't know why I did that. But I thought, if ever I set up my own company, which I always intended to do, Simon, one day I always intended to do it, that was going to be my first purchase, and it was. I had Martin round my house doing another demonstration. We went out for lunch. He ploughed me with alcohol, and I signed on the dotted line.
the tried and tested. I think I invented that sales technique in this industry, actually. Yeah. So, David, so what's really interesting there as well, though, is that, you know, I think that's a key point, isn't it? Actually, PayProp per se doesn't have too many actual competitors, do it? But it does have that main one, which is the intransigence of agents being able to get beyond that. Well, that's the way we've always done it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. There are other companies, I won't name names, that kind of do a comparable job. I've explored those and I've compared them to what you get at PayProp. It's not the same. It just isn't the same.
You get what you pay for, is your...
Yeah, for me, I don't know about you, I'm a very visual person. I like a user interface. When I set my company up, I had demos of about 10, 15 software companies. And there's one in particular who I use now. Yeah. And I said to them, they said, do you want us to do a demo? So I tell you what, give me a login, let me play with it for about an hour or so, and then I'll come back to you. And within the hour, I said, right, sign me up, I'll have it. Nice. Because you know, like for me, if it's not visually pleasing and if it doesn't do what I need it to do, I mean, I meet agents across the country and they're like, I said, what are you using? Oh, I'm having trouble with mine. I said, well, this is what I use. I get it on my phone. And they're like, God, doesn't that look nice? You know, the landlord's there, the tenant's there, the let's there, the activity's there. And I'm like, well, look, this is who I use. You know, it works brilliant for me.
Yeah, and look, I mean, obviously, it's clearly a strong service. We're going to come on to that, but a lot of the time, there's some really good packages out there, but they take a while to, you know, to settle down. You've spoken there. It didn't sound like that was the case there. The onboarding is strong, is it? How would you find the process of actually getting up and working with PayProp?
Well, speaking to others that have onboarded quite a few, you know, change is hard for anybody, let alone estate and letting agents. Most of us don't like it anyway. But it was quite a seamless transition from the people I've spoken to. For me, it was a piece of cake. We set the platform up, we put my one property on, and then when I knew, and what I did was I did little screenshots and bits and pieces. So I knew that each time when I put a property on, that's the order I do it in. But then if ever I got stuck, there's a support team. So it's very, very seamless. And can you
actually, I mean, obviously we talk about that, but the ongoing support we're talking about now as well is good. Is it a telephone support service or is it Oh, that's because a lot of agents are getting very frustrated these days, aren't they? That a lot of these companies are going towards, you know, register a ticket and all that sort of stuff. And actually people, when they want to get on the, you know, when they want something solved, a lot of them really appreciate having that call, that traditional telephone service.
Yeah, you dial up, you get 1 for sales, 2 for support, you go 2 for support. You're on the PayProp app or dashboard already. You've generated a reference number. You give them the reference number. They log in. They can see exactly what you can see. But what I love, Simon, is they don't do it for you. They talk you through what to do. So you're learning.
They make you learn so that you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I always come up with a call going, sorry for being an idiot. And they're like, that's okay. That's okay. We like you.
That's great. I'll tell you just one quick, and this is for all you suppliers out there. Change the order of the voicemail or whatever else. It's 1 for a support and account management, 2 for sales. Remember who you're looking after. I just always find that amusing that it's always that way. Okay, that's really interesting. What do you think, just for people who are so essentially PayProp is an automated rental payment system. What do you consider its main strengths are? Just bullet point.
Reconciling the payments, accounting to the landlord, notifying the tenant, keeping an audit log, a clear and transparent transactional history. Crikey, yeah, just that's basically.
No, you've just knocked them out the park quite. So. And that they seem to come very easily to you, which is, you know, sometimes I ask this question and actually people go, oh, that's a good question, but those are very lucidly in your mind as the main.
Because I use it every single, it's not like I dip in once a week. I use it every morning. My first job of the day. I mean, I've got a team that work with me, but I control the payment elements and stuff just until the guys are ready to transition and I'm comfortable with that, which will probably be never. But I log in on the app, you know, first job of the day, check the rents that come in, reconcile them. And I was saying, when I first took it on, so I started the company in October 2018, and I went away for a weekend in the November before I started building the portfolio. It was about 4 days away in Spain on someone's place that I knew that was empty. And me and my now business partner went out there. And I remember getting up in the morning, having morning coffee on the veranda, going onto my PayProp app, reconciling a few payments. So the 7 or 8 landlords that I had then were paid and accounted for. And I just thought, it can't be that easy, but it is.
That, I tell you what they need to nail, don't you? There's just a bit of marketing, simple marketing. I have seen these, and you just remind me of this, that there's a point in time in every PayProp clients there where that photo goes on Facebook, just made my payments. They should just do a collage of all their happy clients, shouldn't they?
Well, I'll tell you a very quick story on that, Simon. When my second daughter was born, obviously you're in the hospital, you know, the mum's out because she's just given birth, and what a incredible experience. She's in agony. So she's laying there, and I'm sitting there with a baby thinking, I've got baby number 2 here. How can you second baby more than another? And I was like, right, okay, let me just reconcile some payments. My wife took a picture over my shoulder and I sent it to PayProp, and there's a photo of me reconciling payments. That's
perfect. Penny perfect reconciliation.
Exactly.
and bringing life in. But what can't I do at that moment?
Exactly. There's nothing you can't do.
So can you talk us, I mean, one of this is quite hard, and I mean, you're obviously getting a lot of efficiencies out of it, but are there any productivity or kind of ROI results that you're able to quantify? Have you ever thought about what it kind of is actually doing for you, or do you just come from the approach, I know it's better than it was before?
I'm one of these ignorant people, Simon, where I don't really look at figures as such. And my old employers used to say, David, well, you're not really up to speed with your figures. And I said, I'll tell you what, you measure the pig and I'll feed the pig. So, but on PayProp, you have a dashboard, right?
They were talking about me, were they? The cheeky.
No, not at all. You have a dashboard and it shows your productivity. So month in, month out, there's a graph that tells you. And if you see that graph going up, you know that's growth, and that's always a good sign. But then you can click on it. You can say what the income was, what was reconciled, then what your commission was as well. So you can track it. And then you can do audit reports. So you can do January, February, March, what the income was. So you can see what's coming in. You can see what the platform charges are, because you don't pay a monthly subscription to them. You just pay platform and transactional charges to pay for.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. Well, look, I think that's really useful to be able to hear your thoughts. So getting down to your kind of final thoughts on this on paper, how would you rate your experience overall with them?
I know it sounds ridiculous, but 10. I can't fault it, really. I mean, the only thing I can fault is myself, where I'm thinking, why is that not working? Oh, it's me. because it's all the thing I love about PayProp, and with a lot of softwares, really, it's user error. If something's not working, it's because you're not doing it right. You're being a numpty. You're looking at it, and you've not put something where you should have done. So then you look, and then you accept.
There was a very unfair techie phrase that's used around suppliers called picnic. Problem in chair, not in computer or whatever it is. So that was how we always described it. It was but that's really useful to know. We don't do a 10-star system, just so you know. So it's a 5-star, but you're firmly committed to that.
Yeah, we're fine.
Good stuff. And as long as I suppose you don't want your competition using it, but I guess you'd be recommending that to other agents looking for a solution in this vital area as well.
Yeah, I do. I mean, because of my position at Property Mart, I've got to be careful that I'm not recommending things that are not part of our network. But all I can say, as an agent, with my agent hat on, this is what works for me, and this is my experience. Now, you know, if you're having a tough time, I mean, I speak to people, like with my accountant, I have people that say, well, I'm doing my end of year books and I've had to put myself in a dark corner for 2 days. I don't do that. So what I do, I speak to my accountant, who's actually a good friend of mine now. I say, here's my logins. He's got my logins. I've got nothing to hide. My logins for everything, right? And he'll text me, he'll say, right, I'm doing your accounts. Text me over the share code or whatever it is so I can log into your bank. And he does it for me because I'm a letting agent. I'm not an accountant. I don't have time to go through accounts. My job is to generate new business, look after what we got, and just try and, I don't know, support, encourage, and get more agents across the country to do certain things.
That's really good to hear. So technology prop tech tends to fall into 3 categories: shiny, not really solving any solution; nice to haves; and essentials. Which one would you? I'm pretty sure I know which one you're going to go for, but where would you put PayProp in there?
All day long, essential. Yeah.
Good stuff. David Votta, fantastic to catch up with you as ever. I knew we'd overrun because a conversation with you and I couldn't possibly not do.
No,
thanks so much for sharing your experiences of PayProp. It is vital. As I said, other people, we'd encourage you to get in contact with us. We want to hear. The only way we'll help this is by transparency and by talking to people like David, who are kind enough to share their time. So thank you again, once again, David.
My pleasure. Thank you, Simon.
Cheers.